Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Transplant Helper again today. My name is Jim Merle, and today I'm going to be answering a viewer's question that I get quite often, albeit I have to admit I have never, ever seen this question asked in this particular way. However, I do think it is an excellent question. Okay, basically, I saw this on one of the transplant support groups the other day, the heart transplant support group to be exact about it. And the question is posed, and I'll just read it. I'll put it on the screen as well. Does anyone know if Skittles have grapefruit juice in them? Now, you may say that's a strange question. Why ask that question? Well, it comes down to the fact that I would estimate at least probably 90% or better of your transplant teams are going to advise you that post-transplant, you need to avoid at all costs either taking in grapefruit by eating it, and more especially taking in grapefruit juice. And the reasoning behind that is, according to what they claim, is that somehow grapefruit juice can interact with some of your anti-rejection drugs, therefore making them less effective or maybe ineffective for a period, therefore in turn potentially putting you into rejection. If that be the case, I'm going to avoid grapefruit juice like they say. And again, I would report that probably about 90% of teams are going to tell you that at some point. Now, for those of you who may say, well, I've never heard that, my team never told me that, it's a couple of things coming into factor there. Either one, they don't agree with it, which I doubt. They probably do agree with it. More than likely, it's the case, however, that they didn't tell you everything. You know, people, as they train us, particularly when you're in the evaluation process, pre-transplant, as our teams train us and try to educate us on the whole process, they're going to tell us what they remember to tell us, okay? And there are going to be some things that they're not going to mention because they're not going to remember to mention them, or some things that they're not going to mention because they don't think they're very significant, or that they're not as much of a risk to you as someone else might. So let me say before I go any farther, however, though, I am not a medical doctor. I'm certainly not going to try to do anything that overrules or downplays what your team tells you in every single case. Now, hear me out again. In every single case, you need to do exactly whatever your team advises you to do and take their advice above mine every time and disregard what I say. However, I can tell you, as a transplant educator, someone who has worked over and over again for countless hours directly with my team and directly with a few other teams from around the nation, around the world even, in communication with them, I have been told over and over that this particular subject, grapefruit juice, is one of those things where you're at risk. But with that being said, if there were any grapefruit juice, and by the way, I'm not sure there is any grapefruit juice in Skittles. As a matter of fact, I actually went out. I stopped what I was doing a while ago and went out and picked up, and I'm sorry rattling so much. I actually picked up a pack of Skittles just so I could read off the back and see what the ingredients were. Of course, you could have done this online as well, but hey, this way I get to eat the Skittles when it's over. And according to what I can tell, and I can't tell much because I don't have on my glasses, but there's no list of any kind of juice in here, actually. They may have supposedly the flavors there of some of these fruits, but probably no real risk there. As far as the ingredients in them, you can go ahead and assume they're mostly sugar. 42% of this is sugar, 21 grams of added sugars, that sort of thing. There's going to be quite a bit of calories in there per serving because I'm not going to eat what they claim. I'm probably going to eat the whole shareable size. So yeah, there's going to be some risk in me eating Skittles. But back to the idea of grapefruit. Let me just explain it this way. And again, go with your team, do what your team says. And as an educator, I'm going to say do things exactly as they say, and I always train the same, because if I tell someone, hey, go home and drink a half a cup of grapefruit juice, somebody's going to go home and drink 2 cups of grapefruit juice. And then the next day they may drink 3 cups of grapefruit juice, and eventually it's going to be a problem. But to some extent, to a limited extent, grapefruit juice or anything else that they prohibit you from eating or drinking, to a certain extent, is not going to hurt you that much. And here's why. Your medications, your Prograf, your microphenolate, your prednisone, your whatever other medications you may or may not be on, CellCept, all these anti-rejection type medications, the only reason they work for you is not because of the dose you took 5 minutes ago. It's because of the dose is, with an S on the end, that you take over the course of time. All these medications only work because they build up in your bloodstream. They build up in your body to an extent that they work. And taking a single dose or not taking a single dose is not going to be quite as detrimental as we might suggest, and not going to be quite as detrimental as you might assume. Now, am I telling you to skip doses of medication? No. Am I telling you to, go and eat or drink, I should say, 4 gallons of grapefruit juice and see if you can put yourself in rejection? No, I'm not telling you that. What I'm telling you is, if you take your medication consistently, let's just imagine that someone takes their medication consistently for 1 week. You need to take it more than 1 week, but let's say they've only got a week in this. They've taken it for 1 week. They've taken every dose on time, every time, and in the right way. Drinking grapefruit juice is not going to throw that off. If you drink, say, let's imagine you drink 1 cup or 1 glass of grapefruit juice. It's not going to put you in rejection. Why? Because it's only going to affect the most recent dose. If it's going to do anything to lower that level, it's going to affect the most recent dose or doses. It's not going to affect what you've taken for 2 weeks. It's certainly got no effect what you're taking tomorrow, because by tomorrow, your kidneys and your liver and everything else that does all the filtering in your body is going to have expelled that grapefruit juice, or expelled whatever that is. In my case, it might be a cheeseburger. It might be a pizza or chili dog. That's going to be in your body and out of your body probably within a 12, 14, 16 hour period. And then when you're taking your medication consistently, you're going to be back up at a good level. Well, to clarify though, again, I'm not suggesting that you drink grapefruit juice. I'm not suggesting that you go out and do anything that's harmful or could potentially become harmful to yourself, because those things can be, it can go from 1 time to 2 times to something you do all the time. And then you're going to have a problem on your hands. So I'm saying, like one of my good friends says, everything in moderation, including moderation. Okay. Mike Willis has always told me that. Everything in moderation, including moderation. Probably right. So is it going to be harmful to you to drink a half a cup of grapefruit juice every now and then? Probably not. Probably not going to do anything. But I think it's safer to keep the standard and to say, okay, if they prohibit grapefruit juice or they suggest I not drink it, I stay away from it. If they prohibit cheeseburgers and chili dogs and pizza, I don't need to eat that all the time. I don't need to eat that at all, for that matter, if that's what they say. I'm going to do what my team says in every case. But the attitude that I oftentimes see, and I'm not saying specifically about this Skittles post or anything, but the attitude I see a lot of times are the people who stand out there. And when you say, can I drink grapefruit juice? I've spoken on this before. Can I get a tattoo? Can I drink alcohol? Can I? There's always someone that pops up and says, live your life. Don't worry about that. Don't even be concerned about that. It's not even a big deal. You need to live your life. You need to enjoy your life. You need to do whatever. I don't agree with that. These medical professionals have done countless hours of study and research, and they've done all they can to put together a package of treatments and suggestions, and given the best advice they can to give us the longest, healthiest, best quality of life we can possibly have post-transplant. And even though, yes, we ought to be enjoying our life, we should certainly be enjoying our gift. When you get into that mindset and that attitude of just live your life and enjoy yourself, there's going to be some out there that are going to take that as a license to do whatever they want to. And they're going to put themselves at risk. And by doing that and saying that, they're putting others at risk. They're giving others the idea that there's not really a standard of living. There's not really a criteria of things we ought to do or not do in order to live the best life. And I cannot go along with that. My best advice, again, is to always do what your team says. If your team is different than my team, fine. But you do what your team says, not what my team says. You do what your doctors tell you, not what I tell you. And live your life in the sense that you enjoy life, that you experience life, but not in the sense that you just live haphazardly. I don't believe for a moment that our gifts were given to us to live haphazardly, without care, any way we want to. So I don't know if that made any sense, and I know I kind of jumped around, so I apologize for that. But in the end of the day, if you want some Skittles, eat a few Skittles, but be aware, if you're going to eat something like I'm about to eat probably, that has 42% of the added sugars and all this stuff, you're going to pay the price of that to some extent. And if you go out and drink a gallon of grapefruit juice today, you're going to eventually pay the price for that. So use caution. Again, as Mike says, everything in moderation, including moderation. Hope you have a wonderful day and stay stronger, friends.